Hello and good afternoon, my friends. I'm Tosca Di Matteo, founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting, and today I'm bringing you Talk About It Tuesday with the one and only Michelle Cadore, and we are going to talk about keep the seat, I want the whole damn table. I am so thrilled for this conversation. I have no doubt it's going to be incredibly inspiring, maybe also difficult at times to talk about the real truth of getting the seats that we want and creating the tables that we want. But I have no doubt you're going to walk away inspired. And here she is. Hello, hello. I'm going to bring you on. Yes. Cam is coming on. Michelle.
Hi.
Hello, my friend.
Hi. I'm gonna come out a little bit. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm well, Tosca. Thank you so much for having me. I'm
Oh,
excited.
I'm super honored to have you here. I'm thrilled. And for those who are joining now and after the fact, I do this show for a couple of reasons. Number one, I love to bring different perspectives and opinions and experiences to the conversation to help with our own healing, our personal journeys and transformation. And like that's why I'm so excited for this conversation because I know you've been through your own transformation probably 10 times over,
Yes.
and have a lot of wisdom to share. so so yeah, I just want to first say thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know you're super busy, you're like running things over there and at the spot in Brooklyn, New York. But I just appreciate you supporting this platform and sharing your story for my audience as well as your own. So I
Thank you.
appreciate you and thank you for doing that.
Thank you for having me, Tosca. I'm happy to be here, happy to share. Today's actually not my day off, actually, I'm lying. So, but I'm getting to work from home. Thank you to my wonderful partners who continue to hold me down, so I'm very happy that I can do this. Thank you
Oh,
for having me.
oh my gosh, pleasure. And what I usually do is just have my guests kind of introduce themselves, share with everybody a bit about who you are, what is the fabric of your experiences that kind of, help form the Michelle that we know today, just to let the audience kind of get to know you a bit.
Yeah, so my name is Michelle Cadore. I am the proud owner of Yes I Am Clothing, which is a clothing brand designed to inspire and empower. And I'm also the owner of The Spot, or owner and co-founder of The Spot NYC, which is a unique fashion boutique that features 25 plus independent BIPOC creative brands. We have over 75 brands in shop right now, or up at this point, 5 years now, in partnership with my partners, Francie Face Clothing, or Face, and Tyler Jordan. So the spot is also home to Canvas Art Gallery, where we feature different local artists monthly. We use our space for creative workshops, business panels, and live performances. And during the pandemic last year, we created the Black Creatives and Culture Market, where we feature 50 plus BIPOC creative brands. We have an art gallery, live music, entertainment, all sorts of good vibes. And we just kicked off our second annual Black History Month edition this weekend. So
Killing the
that's
game over there. Yes. I'm wearing one of the articles of clothing in honor of this is Brooklyn all day.
Yes, okay, all day. I love it. That's my Askin NYC. That's so dope. I love it. Thank you.
Pleasure. I'm coming to get I'm coming to get your jacket that's on the docket.
Yes. Keep the seat.
Yes, keep the seat. I'll take the table.
Yes.
Okay, so you're like a badass entrepreneur. That's clear. So let's go back a little bit to like, some of those foundational experiences like that kind of made you who you are because it's not easy
No.
to decide to create your own table. So,
Right.
where did you grow up? Like, what are the
Yeah.
experiences that kind of defined a little bit of like who you are today?
Yeah, I'm a Brooklyn girl, born and raised, from East Flatbush, but reside in Canarsie for about 20 years now. And I true Brooklyn girl. I went to Philippa Schuyler, Phil's Academy, Brooklyn Tech. I grew up in the Fulton Mall area. After school, I would go there to get my bamboo earrings and sneakers after school with the friends, get lunch, run through the Toys R Us, old Albee Square. So, Brooklyn is home for me. And as a young person, I was always interested in entrepreneurship. Didn't even realize I was just interested in making money when I was a kid. So I was the girl who set up her parents' picnic table on the one-way street in the driveway and had her little friends flag down the passing cars so we could sell them lemonade and old Bible books and toys and whatnot. And that spirit kind of continued with me throughout my journey. But it wasn't until I got into college. I went back to college for my second year, my second time around. I went back at 24 years old and I started at City Tech with my eyes set on transferring to Baruch to work in finance. But after a stint at JP Morgan, I worked in the chief investment office as an analyst, crunching numbers in a cubicle all day. I realized this is not for me and I want to help small businesses grow. So I decided to change my major 2 months before graduation from finance to small business management and entrepreneurship. I walked to graduation, came back the next day, picked up 4 classes in summer, 6 classes in fall, still finished on time. And by the time they gave me my diploma in February of 2013, I got hired by the Department of Small Business Services in April of 2013. And that kind of started my journey into where I am now.
So,
So,
yeah, I love it's fascinating that you were like, oh yeah, I discovered this passion and now I'm just gonna take advantage of this education while I can to like learn everything I can about
mhm.
it. And I'm curious, like, what was it about small business that you fell in love with at that time?
It was so what happened was during my time at Baruch, I got the opportunity to travel to South Korea as they had a program called Financiers Without Borders. So myself, and 3 other students traveled to South Korea to help a small biopesticide company figure out how to get into the American markets. And I remember we were there for like 2 weeks, and I remember, sitting in our hotel room. It was an airport hotel, so there was a jet outside of the window, blaring its lights in, and we're like drinking soju and eating Korean wings, working on this PowerPoint at 4 in the morning to deliver to the client. And I was on fire. I was like, I'm loving this. This is life. And, just knowing that you can help strategize and help a business figure out how to grow and expand was so much fun for me. And I actually have been doing that when I would travel around. I used to travel a lot in 2016 and 2015. I would meet small businesses randomly on my vacations and I would just start consulting with them. And then, we still keep in touch. So I was always doing this, but, I finally found a way to funnel it. So during that time, when I reached SBS, my first job was working as an OJT NEG Hurricane Sandy monitor. And I know everybody's like, what does that mean? On the job training, actually, I'm messing it up. It was the Hurricane Sandy monitor. So, we had Hurricane Sandy. So I was in charge of working with different agencies to help streamline the cleanup process for our city. And I was working with I was working with like the assistant commissioners and the commissioners, etc. So I learned the beauty of partnership and developing partnerships during that experience because, you're dealing with a lot of high level people, a lot of different personalities, and everybody became my friend. It was really nice. It was like, I could get out of them what I needed them to do. And so I was like, oh, I know how to talk to these people. This is great. And I learned the beauty of building those partnerships and relationships. From there, at SBS, my boss at the time, Priya, she was like, I want you to take over the OJT program. So it's an on-the-job training program and if you're a business owner here, this is something for you to know. New York City has a training program where you can hire and train New York City residents, and the city will pay 70% of the training for up to 3 months. But you have to submit documentation and show that you have a training plan for them. And it's very simple. When I was managing it, it was very simple. And so they said they have this open. But in my head, I was like, I want to go to Deloitte. I want to work as a consultant doing strategic operations. I was set on Deloitte, but the city was like, we want you to stay here. And I was like, eh. But it was like, here, take this job. And I said, you know what, maybe I will. And I did. And I loved it for like 2.5 years. And then came the glass ceiling. We can talk about that.
Oh yes, the glass ceiling. Well, yeah, I mean, because like, well, first of all, I just want to say that like, when I'm like reflecting too on my relationship with like entrepreneurs, right? Like that I spent like my entire career in corporate. It's only the past couple of years that, I left, but for me, it was always about the travel and the commerce and like meeting people, right? Like where it was like, oh man, these people are like putting their blood, sweat, and tears into whatever they're creating, whether it's food or goods.
Yeah.
And that was the way the interaction and the commerce was how I got to know the culture. And so I've always really appreciated the solopreneur entrepreneur and never had a desire to be one myself.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you kind of had this taste of entrepreneurship as a kid, and then you started to go into the corporate realm or the organizational, nonprofit, all of that realm.
Yeah.
And then like the glass ceiling gets presented.
Yeah. So, I'm year 2.5 into my role, and I'm the only person managing my program, right? Or managing the program. I'm the program manager I'm the program manager. So I don't have a team right now. To my knowledge, that program has 4 people and similar goals, right? And so when the role opened above me for director, naturally I was like, I want to do this. I need to elevate in my career. Excuse me. And my good friend Shayna, she was like a colleague there, and she had decided she wanted to become a life coach. She was quitting the job. So she, was like, I need you to help me. I want you to be like one of my test clients. So we were like, I was like a guinea pig for her. And so she was going through my career goals with me, and she said, how come you didn't apply for this role? And I was like, well, I'm kind of nervous. I had like this fear at the time, and we talked about this before, like, being able to speak up and advocate for what you want, and, basically ask for what you want. So she pushed me to go for this role. She said, this is your homework. Go to the higher ups and tell them this is what you want. So I mustered up my courage, and I went and I said, I'm interested in this role. I asked for a meeting, and I was so nervous. And then I was told, okay, and we'll see who else is interested. And I was like, it just took me aback. I was surprised. I was like, I'm doing this already for free, and I'm being told we'll see who else is interested, as if you're not fit for this role. But I'm not being guided and taught how to grow to this role. But then I'm being expected to teach the replacement how to do the role. And I said, I'll be damned. I am not doing that, right? So that same night, I left with another friend and another colleague, went to have drinks and drown in my sorrows. And I'm crossing the street. I'm leaving to go home, crossing the street down by Borough Hall. It's raining. Tears are coming down my eyes. A cab comes by, splashes me from head to toe, mouth open and all. I'm like, and this woman's like handing me her sanitizing napkins. And I just took that as a sign from the universe. Girl, get your shit together. Like, excuse me, sorry, Instagram, but get your life together. You've done amazing things before. I used to travel and do all sorts of things. You're going to do amazing things afterwards, and no one's going to define you. You are who you say you are. And I said, I am who I say I am, and I'm going to make my story, right? Change my story. And that night I started Yes, I Am Clothing, because I am are the two most powerful words, for what you put after it shapes your reality. So from then on, I just started changing the narrative, and I started speaking my life into existence. I was like, I'm going to travel more. I'm going to start my business. I'm going to take over the world. I was just very adamant that I just knew I had more in me, and I was not going to let my dreams die in, someone else's hands. So that was the beginning.
I mean, thank you for sharing that. It's so powerful, and it like help me understand, like, if there was a slow build to that moment of like, forget this. You know what I mean? Like, was there a
Yeah,
slow build of your entrepreneurial like dream, and like it
yeah,
was, yeah, because I'm just
for
curious how,
sure.
yeah, how sudden it was, or if it's just, or you just realized you had to start betting on yourself as opposed to looking at places that where you weren't in control of what was
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, so it was 2015 November when I decided to start the business, but
Mm,
I still had that fear in me. It took me until
mm,
I told a friend of mine that I was interested in starting a business, my friend Victoria, who owns Black Web Festival. And she was like, I know a brother who's been a fashion designer for years, Francie Face. I'm going to connect you with him. So she connected me with Face,
Wait, I'm
and
sorry. Wait, I just want to interrupt and ask. So was this was before that moment where like you were getting passed up for an opportunity? This was
no,
like,
this was after. So after
okay,
the day that I decided I was going to start my clothing brand, I told my good friend, Victoria,
gotcha.
and she was like, I know someone who can help you. And
Mm,
then she connected me to Face, and Face
mm,
is Francie Face Clothing that I mentioned before. So it took me from November to February to actually have a meeting with Face, because I was still like nervous, and so I convinced my friend Shayna, who had pushed me to go get that promotion, to come with me to his Let Me Talk My Love Ish. What was it? A poetry event he was having on Valentine's, because I didn't want to meet him. I
mm,
was like, let me meet him in a controlled setting, where I won't feel too nervous, because it's all, it's
mm.
energy. And so we met, and it was cool. Then we met the next day for the actual meeting. And I came with my little sketchbook, and I was telling him what I wanted to do. And he was like, he never had a mentee before. But I told him, you're going to be my mentor, right?
And had you had a dream of like a fashion brand or being in fashion prior to this, or was
Nope.
no? It was just like you
Nope.
had a lightning bolt moment.
I was just like, I need to create something to
Mm,
inspire and empower people. And at first I thought pillows. And I was like, no, I want to make something that people can wear all the time.
mm,
And so, I have people who are telling me like, I wear my stronger than you can ever imagine to what is it? Chemotherapy. And I'm like I cry when I hear things like that.
mm.
But that was it. I wanted people, it's almost like your safety blanket in a way, but just like your friendly reminder that you're dope as
Oh,
hell.
you mean like this? Hold on.
You got one
You mean
too.
like my
Yes,
meditation
yes,
pillow? I'm just
yes. And I
saying.
remember you
Shout
got like,
out to Irma who bought it for my birthday.
I know, yes, shout out to her, to Irma. And I know that you got, when you took that with you on your flight, they bumped you up to first class, right? They
Yes.
saw that. It was like, yes, you
You're
come to
right. I
that
had
was
the
really
energy.
good.
I had energy with the
You had
bag.
the energy.
Yes.
You were manifesting the good things. I love that.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was it. And we had the conversation. And so he took me under his wings and showed me how to, start the brand, took me to his printer, Irv of Blue Alert NYC over here in Canarsie. And then he was like, you're going to do a fashion show. Right. And so while he was not a fashion show, a pop up, but while we were doing this was like February. I was planning trips between January and April and just flying out of the country left and right. And I was still hesitating, right? And so now I'm in Egypt for my birthday in April, and my hotel happens to have a mall downstairs, and it has one of those kiosk print shops. So I'm like, I'm gonna go downstairs on my birthday after like many drinks and crashing a wedding. Well, I was invited to crash, but I decided to go and get my shirt made, and I made my very first shirt, and it said, I am dash 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 with an exclamation mark.
Mm.
and like fill in the blanks, right? Because we went through some branding changes. And I wore that on the plane back home. And then I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to start. And I came back to Face and I was like, all right, what's next? And then by July, on my mom's birthday, is when we actually had the pop up. And the pop up was so crazy because at the pop up, so there were our other soon to be co-founder, and then we had someone who's a drink vendor, Blue NYC, and I'll tell you how we get to them in the future. But anyway, so we did it, and I didn't tell anybody because I was still scared. I was nervous about like having this brand and like, is it gonna work? Is it gonna fail? Are people gonna come? I don't like inviting people to things because I don't want to be disappointed. I get anxiety, and so I told like 3 friends who came: Victoria, my friend Natasha at the time, and 4 other friends came to support. And I remember when I first got one of my sales, it was a stranger sale. She bought 5 shirts. And she didn't owe me anything. And she was like, I love this. And I was like, my first stranger sale. I'm like, it's real. Like, somebody likes it, you know?
Yeah.
So from there, Face and I started, like, after that, Face and I started dreaming about, like, opening up a boutique. And this was like, yeah, I'll let you go.
No, wait. Because I just want to pause for like a hot. I just, like, there's so much, right? Like, there's clearly, you know, so much energy around this idea you had, right? Like it was meant to be, like there's so much magic and just inspiration behind it. But I just want to pause for a minute because I think, you know, there are people that may have ideas in their brain, right, about things, right? Or they have whispers, or they have dreams maybe that's been going on for years and years. And to take action on that is very different, right? Than ignoring it, you know? So I'm curious for you, you know, where the actual spark for action was for you. Was it the frustration of the experience of being in rooms where maybe there were things happening, you know? I'm sure also as a woman of color that there's added things that happen in rooms where you don't feel heard and seen. Like, was it mostly driven by like this idea that you felt really strongly about? Like, just walk me through a little bit of that inner processing to go from idea to action, because I think there's a lot of beautiful people out there with beautiful ideas, but maybe they're not taking action.
Yeah, it was frustration. I was frustrated. I was going to work and I you know, I worked in Lower Manhattan, and every time my train would hit Borough Hall and we go through the tunnel, tears would involuntarily start falling down my eyes because I was just like unhappy. I knew I was not where I was supposed to be, and I didn't know, so we didn't touch on this. I didn't know how to get to where I wanted to go, right? It's more so like when I chose jobs for my career, it had to feel like this was it. So I would look at other opportunities and I'm not feeling something that clicks. And funny enough, I would get connected to opportunities. Someone would say, I think you're perfect for this. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But what happened for me in my journey was when 2016, now, you know, I kept saying by the end of the year, I'm going to be a full-time entrepreneur or working somewhere else, making more, right? And I kept saying it like I was so consumed with getting out. It just was like a daily mantra in my head. And then I know I was miserable. I was with counterpart at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and he actually called me the other day, a really good partner. And he told his boss, who, like I said, relationships, I was always so great with, you know, the management of companies. So he was like, every time I would see him, he'd be like, Bella, give me a hug or what have you. So his boss was like, you know, what's going on? You know, he said, they brought me in the room and they were like, he tells me that you're not happy where you are. We got to fix this. I know someone who's looking for an assistant director. Give me your resume. I'll send it to you. When I tell you, looked out and I was like, I don't know if I'm good enough for that job, if I can do it, what have you. But went on the interview and She and I hit it off. She called me back for a second interview. We end up going to an event together. At the end of the interview, we're on the bus talking about entrepreneurship. Today, she's my neighbor at the mall. Just
Oh,
so you know.
amazing. Yes.
Yep, that's Privilege, Kizzy. And it was November so a year from after I started the idea for the brand, it was a year later that I'm interviewing with her. And I remember it was election day, and I told her she told me the salary, and I told her that would be a lateral move for me. So I was like, I can't. And I said, I want 20,000 more. And she was like, I don't know if I could do that, but if I can, would you come on board? I said, if you get me that, I'll run with you into the sunset, right? And it was Shayna who told me to negotiate. Now, as a Black woman, I didn't feel comfortable. I was scared to ask for more. We're so used to just take what we, as a woman and as a Black woman, we're just so used to taking what we get. And so this was my first time negotiating. And she, sure enough, came back and was like, they approved it, and I got my 20K more. And I was like blown away. I said, wow, the power of negotiation and knowing your worth. And I knew what I was bringing to the table. I am like going into the nonprofit world, and I am from the city, and I have finance background from like JP Morgan. I'm like, I know how to navigate with these people. I know how to talk to these people. I know what they're looking for. I know what you need to look out for, and I know that in very many ways I was an asset from that perspective. When you need to have the inside knowledge of how to work through things, right? So it was Christmas. Now that was November. By Christmas now, what did I do? I achieved my goal, right? Because December 24th, Christmas Eve, I'm like, here's my resignation letter. I'm out. I got to go. And they were just hiring the director who they wanted me to train to do the role that they didn't think I was good enough.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Like,
thank you, no, thank you. Not about that life. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and again, I kind of want to slow it down a little bit, because I feel like it's parts of your story that to really honor and just name, right, your ability to really be in touch with what's for you and what's not, to be able to see that, and to also, I think, understand what's in alignment with you and not in alignment.
Yes.
I think it's so just something to highlight, because I think sometimes we have a knowing, and we tell ourselves we don't know, and for anybody that's watching too, by all means, if you have any questions, or if you by all means, put it in the chat, but or if any of this resonates in terms of like, but you say you don't know, and how that impacts our choices, but also that you have a knowing of your worth, and also I don't know if she was your coach at the time, but you also had somebody on the outside helping you to see how to advocate for yourself, maybe in a bigger way than you otherwise would have.
Yes. I have to touch on that too, because my friend, Shayna, she is a white woman, right? And she's a young white woman like me. And she was also experiencing being overlooked because she didn't fit the cookie cutter aesthetics of what the perfect person for a certain higher role would look like, right? And funny enough, I was asked to speak on a panel for our agency just last week. And they asked questions about diversity, and I had to be honest with them. And I said, I saw many people who looked like me that got overlooked for opportunities, who had a ton of potential. Talk about full circle moment, right? Who had a ton of potential, and, they weren't able to grow here. They left to go to other places. And not just people who looked like me, but people who didn't fit that mold. But they were, they were bright, brilliant people, and just overlooked. So, but I was thankful to have allies in the space, and have not just my Shayna, who I call my sister girl, but also my other friends in the space who were, my sister girls, and who we created tribe and we helped each other out. So what I wasn't getting in terms of like training and such, they were helping me figure out how
Mm,
to stay successful and how to be successful and how to navigate in this space. And I touched on that too.
mm,
That definitely helped to, move me forward. But yeah, it was definitely it was a lot. It was a lot of trauma. There were a lot of, I experienced microaggressions or aggressions. Just it was to this day, I'm healed. But
mm,
I remember when I went on to my other position, it was very much like I could see how I had the trauma. And I remember one of
mm,
our higher ups who actually left too, she told me take a break between this job and the next one because you don't want to bring that
mm,
energy that you have to this next space. And that was the best advice because I was ready to just go running. Because remember, I said by the end of the year, I'll be a full-time entrepreneur or working somewhere else making more. And sure enough, my first day was January 17th, where I was in my new role as assistant director, and it was an interesting experience. I saw the power in my manifestation and manifesting and speaking my life into existence, and I also saw challenges on the day that I started my new job, 9 a.m, bright and early in the morning. I was sick the weekend before. I just came
mm.
back from Cuba, thought it was the jamon. I didn't know what it was. Um, and I realized that I was being accused. I had already started my brand. I was being accused of copyright infringement by a Facebook group online, and I was being dragged through the social media streets. And I had no idea until I
Mm,
found out at some point. And I'm like, I couldn't understand why I was sick. I went to City MD, but there was so many, energy coming towards me. I didn't know. So bright and early, talk about the devil trying to throw you off your game. I never even told you this. Bright and early on Monday morning, I'm hit with a cease and desist when I'm starting my job, 9 a.m., and a request for $10,000. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, what? So when I'm supposed to be having joy because I got this new
mm,
job, I made 20K more or what have you, this is what I'm dealing with. My staff didn't know. Only my
mm,
boss knew because, I had to tell her, and we had already started building that bond, the rapport. But I was just,
mm,
like, okay. And that could have been something to deter me also.
mm,
But my partner, I had a friend that worked at SBS. She was the deputy director attorney. So she helped me deal with that situation because it wasn't true. And I was pretty much being, what is the word? Not bribe, but, I forget the word. But, if you're asking me for $10,000 and you're not the judge, it was like,
right, right.
extortion. Right.
Extortion, yeah.
Exactly. And my partner, he was like, "Do you want a shirt?" It was over a t-shirt. They thought I made the same. We have similar things. I use whatever. My partner was like, "Do you want a t-shirt? Do you want a t-shirt or do you want a brand?" And I was like, "I want a brand." He was like, "Let them have the shirt," And so during the battle fighting it,
Ooh.
the power. And I was like, I
Oh,
learned, isn't that something? Because I could have sat there and be like, no, but this is my design and da da da. I didn't know anything. You could have came to me, businesswoman to businesswoman, black woman to
right.
black woman,
Mm,
person to person, have a conversation. It was a misunderstanding. I didn't know, you know what I mean? And we could have worked together and we could have been
right.
powerful together.
Mm,
But that was not what had happened. Where they are now, I don't know and I don't care. But at the end of the day, I'm like, my partner told me that I should just focus on my brand and stay to the bigger picture. And three
right.
months later,
No,
I was
I
gonna
just
say
remember.
three months.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say 3 months later. Oh, I didn't tell you the part about him and I dreaming about opening up our boutique back in August, right? And manifesting where it would be and him saying Dumbo. But all to say that was January 2017. We were manifesting in August 2016. He said Dumbo. I said nobody goes to Dumbo. And sure enough, 9 months later, so January, I get this whole cease and desist situation. I'm feeling like I had
Mm,
social anxiety. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was depressed for
mm,
2 years, right? But January 2017 that happened. It was March 2017 that my partner was doing. a photo shoot in Dumbo, and he was looking for scissors, and he stumbled across a for rent sign, and that is when we decided to open up the spot in a 100 square foot space. And I'm like, imagine if I had quit at that
Mm,
point because I was feeling deterred and
right.
disappointed. I would have missed my blessing of
Mm.
opening this shop, you know?
Yeah, and I think that, what you're saying, just again to kind of pull it out, is so powerful, which is really understanding what is the arena that you're actually playing in. Like, are you playing the small game or are you playing the big game? Are you playing the short game? Or are you playing the long game? Because you're talking
That's
about
big and long.
big, right? Like it is easy to get deterred, and I don't care if that
Mhm.
means you're sitting in an office and you're working for the man, or you're doing it for yourself. You're gonna hit obstacles. So,
Mhm.
for you, it's um, like how do you think about the battles, whether it was in an office environment or as an entrepreneur, and what you continue to have to the mountains you have to climb. Like, how do you think about when is it worth it to fight, when is it worth it to walk away? Like, how do you figure that out for yourself?
So now, after that experience, that was the best teaching experience because he
Mm,
told me, don't you say a word, right?
mm,
And I could not, like, for me, it was like how I have to defend my name. I have to say
mm,
something. And he was like, nope, let the lawyer handle it. You give them whatever, not money. You give them your statement and take it down. Don't say a word. Because, never wrestle in the mud with a pig because you both get dirty, and at the end of the day, the pig likes it, right? So I learned that. I
mm,
learned when to not engage.
mm,
Um, Also, I always think bigger picture. Like, there are times when you get a little caught up, and it's not ego per se. My partner will say ego. It's not ego, but it's like you'll try to check something that's happening, but you have to realize when take concessions and know when what you're going after, and is this worth my time? Is this
mm,
worth where I'm trying to go, right? Am I going to be worried about these things? No, because I know, like, we've gone through so many things where I'm like, I know our end game is much bigger than this.
mm.
And so that is what I'm focused on. And I finally got to a point, I think this year, where I'm like unbothered, where I'm like, okay, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel.
Mm.
If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I know who we are and what we're bringing to the table and where we're going. So I'm not even worried about it. Like, God
Right.
bless, you know?
Yeah, and there's two things that come up that I want to bring up. And number one, you talked a little bit, right, about what would be possible with like collaboration as opposed to
Yes.
competition. And I can't help even but think about, even when you think about the Super Bowl halftime show and all these greats and all these legends coming together.
Yes.
And what if there was like, and I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but you know what I mean? Like, but they came together for a bigger picture of what was possible in
Yes.
that moment. And I think that those types of opportunities happen over and over again for you and I, for just, for in terms of why we're looking at people like competition, or that we get to raise all our boats. So, like,
Yeah.
what is that for you? Especially because, like, let's just take, for example, that, your storefront, your the spot
Yeah.
has a number of creative brands, right? Technically competing, but not really, right? So
Right.
yeah, like how does that play a role in terms of bringing all these creative forces together in one spot and instilling an idea of collaboration as opposed to competition and what that is?
Yeah, so when Face and I started dreaming about opening up our boutique, we wanted to open up a boutique that can help spotlight and, give visibility to BIPOC creative brands that look like us, that we're like us, because we're small, we're independent, we know how hard it is to do it by yourself.
Mm,
So we were like, and it's hard to get into stores, especially big stores. So we're like, we'll make our own, like keep the seat. I want the whole damn table. We'll make our own. And so we started with 3 brands in shop in our 100 square foot space. And within 6 months, we had 25 brands in shop. And within 2 years, we had 50 brands in shop. And we had 2 other partners, one was a fashion designer, one was a jewelry, it's like an accessory and glasses designer. And next door to us 2 weeks later, Tyler Jordan Canvas Art Gallery moved in, and it was just so like aligned because Tyler's space was an art gallery. He was doing for artists what we were doing for brands by giving them space to showcase their work, because him as an artist, he knew how difficult it was to get into galleries, and you're paying all these fees, and you might not make a sale, you might make a sale. So he wanted to make it more low cost barrier, you know, for artists. And so we started like talking, realizing we had people in common. So here's the funny thing. Tyler's partner, or his mentor, was the liquor sponsor at the event in which I popped up that time. And we had no idea. So we like, oh, every time he comes to introduce us to people, is someone that face knows. Every time we introduce them, they know them. And like the circle was just so aligned and in tune. And so we would let a brand and shop pop up once a month. And then we would spill over to his art gallery. We'd have like a whole little day. Like what we did this weekend, we did that in that small little mall, but on a smaller scale, where we just have community and collaboration and good vibes and, you know, drinks and networking and all of that. And we did that for 2.5 years. And then when we realized that we were outgrowing this place, we need bigger, we need better, and we had some setbacks. And, you know, I kept saying again, by the end of this year, we're going to be in a bigger store with higher traffic, because I can't come here after work every day into this place. I'm tired of this, right? And sure enough, we got the opportunity to move into City Point, and we took what we made in that little space, which I say God was hiding us and preparing us for City Point, because we went from, you know, what we were doing there, let's say, for instance, maybe $2K a month to like $40K a month, right? And it was like, okay, now we can quit our jobs.
Well, and for those of you who don't know, City Point in Brooklyn is downtown Brooklyn, you know, high pedestrian walking area. Like you got Target in there, you've got like big mega brands, Trader Joe's and all this stuff. So it's like, you know, it's like incredibly valuable retail space. And I want to just, you know, there's something that's coming up for me, and just, you know, because this is Talk About It Tuesday, so we kind of go a little bit deeper. But, you know, like, what I heard you say, right, is like the game that has been established, right, doesn't work for you, doesn't work for a lot of creatives of color, people of color, right, or whomever that the system doesn't work for. And what I'm hearing, right, is you created your own table, right, like you were like, how am I going to make this work for me? Like how, you know, and I can't help but think, and it makes me think of Tyler Perry and how he entered Hollywood, but like, but it also just feels like, how exhausting is it to have to like create your own game? You know what I mean? Or is it?
Yeah. But is it? I don't think it's exhausting though. I mean,
it's innovation, right?
It's innovation, because now it's like you cut out the middleman, right? You kind of become the middleman, but you're not the middleman, you know. But at the same time, you create your platform. I mean, this is bigger than if I was in a store just by myself. That's one thing. Now I'm in a position where I can bring up my community, and I'm creating more. We're not just selling clothing, like we're changing lives and, you know, bringing opportunities, putting money in people's pockets and creating legacy, you know. And so it's like, I don't even think it's exhausting at this point. It's exhausting. I'm tired from this weekend. But at the same time, I'm also like,
because that wasn't your mindset either. It was like, you see an opportunity and this is exciting, and how can I create this?
Yeah, and I'm comfortable. Would I have felt comfortable in other spaces? But here I've created my own space, my own thing. With my partners, we've created our own community, you know, and everybody is in that community. And so it's just like, it's different and it's blessed. And I'm glad we did it this way.
Well, and I can't help but think, because look, and as a coach, as a transformational coach, right? Like I'm constantly working with people that have, they need support to think differently, right?
Yeah,
To be able to see what is unseen yet, right? To be able to walk a
yeah,
path that they define for themselves, as opposed to say, oh, well, this is what's for you. It's either A, B, C, or whatever. All these like, yeah, these binary things, which is not how life works. So I just
right.
want to just honor how beautiful it is for you to be able to see, like, have that vision to say, like, what can I create that honors what I desire, like what my mission is, and it's just beautiful. And hopefully
Thank
everybody
you.
watching can sit with themselves and say, like, yeah, what can I create that doesn't exist? Because we're living in a world in which we need that innovation, and to know that you can write your own path.
Yeah, and it's crazy because when we started, we were, at first we were kind of like, we're doing this for us, right? But even at the time, it was like, do we stay home to black-owned brands? Or we just say independent brands, because we had
Mm,
to deal with those little nuances, like would people resonate with it, even though we're all black, or would the world resonate with it?
mm.
But we did it anyway, and then now it's what everybody is focusing on. You know what I mean? And
So you went
so,
with you went with saying it's black owned brands versus independent brands.
right, we
Mhm.
started with independent, I think our first 6 months. And then we started saying, we're just going to say black owned brands. And then we said BIPOC once we started getting, other
Mhm.
people, POC brands in. And we were like, you know, we're just going to have to be comfortable with this is what it is, and we're not going to be
Mhm.
afraid to say that this is what it is, because it is what it is.
Yeah.
And then we started seeing the shift, because even my friend, she had a brand called Color Content, and it was kind of like, should you call it color content? Will people receive that?
Mm.
But she was ahead of the game too, and she knew that, you just, I don't know, we were just like, it doesn't matter, this is what it is. So we continued on, and now everybody's highlighting black owned, and everything is black owned, which is beautiful. We're in this space where people are more comfortable, so these are other nuances that you deal with as a entrepreneur, creative black person, being able to really be in your authentic truth, right?
Oh my God, yeah. And I'm sorry, like, I guess
No, it's okay, because I
I,
know it clicked.
yes, you know I gotta stop
I
there,
know.
because you're right, because what I'm hearing is that, look, it wasn't in vogue in the moment
It
to
wasn't.
say that.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But you
And
leaned
yeah, it
into
needs
your
to go
truth
together.
and what was aligned for you and you know, your
Yeah,
collaborators. And to me, like, that is the path, right? Like, how
yeah,
can we really, even when it's not popular opinion, and even if it's not in vogue, like, that there's so much magic in just honoring that this is what felt good for you, this is what feels good for
yeah.
you. And oh, by the way, if it changes, that's okay too. It's just like you just really leaned into what was true for you.
Yeah, yeah, and it was, it was definitely speaking our truth, because this is who we're representing,
Mhm.
right? And then it's
Mhm.
branding too. Like, this is who you're supporting. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Right.
And so part of it was kind of like fear that if we're saying black owned, blah blah blah, that they would not support us, because that's the world that we live in. But we were getting so much support. We were like, no matter where we went, and it was like, okay, we were feeling more like we're free, we can be ourselves, and it is what it is. We're just
Mhm.
gonna go ahead and keep saying who we are. And so that was powerful. That was indeed powerful.
Yeah. And I just, for the audience out there too, and I'm talking right now to, like, white women, or people that don't identify as a person of color, that like, when you walk into establishments, or you have opportunities to buy black owned, and to get over yourself and not be self-conscious about getting in there and doing it, and supporting businesses that need our support, and maybe asking some questions, and maybe you feel uncomfortable. That's part of the work. I think I just want
Yeah.
to, like, honor that, because because the reality is everybody's always welcome in these spaces, and
Yes.
we have to like get over ourselves about whatever discomfort might be. So I don't know, I just felt compelled to
No, I
bring that
agree.
up in this space.
I
Um,
agree. I had someone say to me for Black History Month, the silhouette that we use is of Black woman's hair. I don't know if you've seen it, but they told me they didn't feel comfortable. It was a white man. He didn't feel comfortable coming to the event because he didn't feel like it was for him. And he didn't know how to tell me about that. And I was like, I received that. But I'm also like, but that's not a me issue, that's a you issue, right? So that's something that you have to get
right,
over. Because there were plenty
right,
of people who came and who, felt comfortable to
yes,
support. Like nothing about this says that you can't be here. So, I mean, I appreciate that you made that, statement because it's true. It's a very welcoming space. Everyone is in our space. Like we have everybody and we get love from everybody and from all over the world, at the spot. And so even though we're focused on amplifying the voices of Black and POC brands, we are also here to share the culture and to, share it with everyone. And just, it's all about good vibes and energy and like
mhm,
kumbaya. Like that's who we are. So,
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and so, you know, you talked about, also in advance of this conversation, right, your mission of kind of elevating Black creatives
Yeah.
and bringing those opportunities to the forefront because, like you said, they're not as plentiful as they really should be.
Right.
So what are your dreams for the spot for Yes I Am, for like the legacy that you want to leave in the world now that you're killing the game? So it's just like how high now? You know what I mean? Like
Oh, yeah. So this is like just scratching the surface for us, right? And I'm just very happy that we came up with this festival as well, because I'm like now we're like touching it in other ways. So the shop itself, we want to expand that into other markets. Have the spot Atlanta, the spot Miami, the spot DC, etc., the spot London, the spot Ghana, we want to make it huge and international so that we can give other creatives of color the opportunity to showcase their work, gain visibility and access to economic opportunities and be a part of a larger collaborative community, creative community. So that's our mission. That's our platform. And then with Black Creatives and Culture Market, which we've done in partnership with City Point, they came to us and said, what do you want to do for 2021 during the pandemic? Like, how can we help? And we were like, let's create this market where we can help, brands who are in our shop and not in our shop have an opportunity to pop up and connect with the community and make some money because times are hard. And that started with just 15 brands last Black History Month and I think 8 artists. And by Juneteenth, we had 75 BIPOC creatives involved, and it was a 2-day event. It was fabulous. And so now we went from 15 brands to 40 brands. This one that we just did for Black History Month, our second annual, we had 53 BIPOC brands that were popping up. And then we had 10 artists and we had about 15 musicians. So over 75 brands involved again. And the community came out with so much love on Saturday. It was beautiful. And all we kept hearing was, congratulations on a successful event. And this feels like old Brooklyn. And that
mm,
matters because we're in Albee Square. We're in City Point, Brooklyn, but it was originally Albee Square Mall, which was home to Black and Brown owned businesses back when we were coming up. So we're kind of like, keeping the culture alive by having our shop there and by, having these creatives not only in shop, but expanding the platform so that they can, pop up with us twice a year. And then we also have Dear Summer Vibes, which is a block party that we created while we were in Dumbo. And we created that. So we got into festival world because when we were in Dumbo and we were hidden and we were small, we were good and we were getting the buzz, but we weren't getting into everything. So this was 2019, and we got turned down for like 2 big events. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own. And so we partnered with Dumbo Bid and we put it on under the Manhattan Bridge. And it was, I remember the person who ran the bid, Clara, she was like, Michelle, this is effing amazing. Like, it was so lit. It was so much fun. And so I got a taste of festival creation from there. And so now we have Dear Summer Vibes and Black Creatives and Culture, which I want to continue.
Over and over again.
Yeah, every year they get it bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's like over and over again. You just keep creating your own table, creating your own table.
Yep.
In a way, you know, like this platform is that, right? Which is like, I don't need to get invited to things. I'm going to create my own and invite other people to it.
Yeah, but now we get invited,
right?
And now it's like, okay, we can. What I did was I learned, like, Afropunk Curl Fest. You know, they started small, like us. Curl Fest started. She was actually at our event, Simone, and I appreciate and love her for coming. They started in her friend's living room, right? And now it's like on Randall's Island and huge. Afropunk started on a block, and now it's like huge in Commodore Barry, and it's international, you know. And Essence Street Style, Essence, all of them, they started small. So I'm like, in 5 years, I want the Black Creatives and Culture Market to be huge, like thousands of people coming just to support the culture, you know. So, and I see that happening. And Dear Summer Vibes, our block party, you know, same thing. And I told Downtown Brooklyn, this is the vision that I have for, I think when they saw what we did last year for Black History Month, and I told them my vision for Juneteenth, and then we had the marching band come through the mall and, like, you know, make it so black. Like, it was just very, very HBCU. You know, they were like, before we even had Juneteenth, they knew what I had in mind. I said, I want this place to be where people come to celebrate Juneteenth every year, where they're coming to the hotels, to the Marriott and such, and blocking it off like they would do for Essence Fest. And they were like, we want you to sit on the board. And I was like, ooh, say less, you know? So we currently serve on the board for Downtown Brooklyn Partnership. And I am like, the magnitude of what we're doing, it astounds me, because it like dawned on me, like, oh wait, now you're like in this position where you're here as a voice for your community, for the culture, for Brooklyn, and you can continue to make sure that your presence and, you know, the presence of the people who look like you and everything who was originally here is still there and still being seen, you know. And they're so supportive. Like, I couldn't really ask for a better, between Downtown Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, and City Point, like, we're just blessed because everybody sees the value and they are here and they're like, we want you all to shine as well, and we want you all to do well and be successful. And so they're always, you know, keeping the door open and making sure that we're sitting. And while we're sitting at the table, we're bringing our friends with us, right? And like, if you got something, yeah, good.
Yeah, no, and they're blessed to have you as a leader to bring people together, to bring community together, to have this vision, you know. And DS Delight here is saying this weekend was my best market ever.
Oh, yeah, she did so well. I was so happy. And we always want everybody to do well. So for me, I'll be honest, Saturday was amazing. Saturday was great. Sunday was not as good as I would hope. But we learn, and we like, how can we make Juneteenth epic? Because we don't do anything but epic, you know? And so I'm like, I'm always going around and asking, how is it going? How are you doing? You know, making sales. Because I'm like, I want to know that they're doing well. And also, I know they're going to connect with community and have a good vibe and all of that, because that's what we curate.
Right, but the bottom line, you still want the cash money to be rolling in.
I want you to make money. I need you to make money. That's why we're doing this, so you can get money in your pockets. And so I had someone tell me, I'm going to cry, but like someone told me, he came up to me, he was like, this helped me make my rent. Because he had to take care of his. I swear, we hugged, and I'm like, I'm about to cry, but this is why we do it. Or even Dee, when she told me how she did, I was like, she was like, girl, and I was like, this is why we do it, it's because we're helping our community to take care of their families and to do the things they need to do. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm crying. But it's just like it's bigger than money, it's bigger than all of that. It's about uplifting and empowering each other, and we do it with so much heart and passion because we are them. We know what it's like. We got to eat too. We're not rich. We're building our way up, but it's like we've sacrificed to make sure that everybody gets put on. And so I just love the love, and that we're surrounded by so many dope people, and they see it, and they are with us on this journey.
Yeah. Oh man. So gosh, so beautiful. No, don't be sorry, girl. That's what this is. This is like, yeah, it is emotional. I can't even imagine, and
That was like a
and
dope moment. That was really dope.
and the reality is that we need people now more than ever to believe in themselves, to believe in their dreams, and we need people that lift others up too. And you did the same for me at 1 o'clock in the morning while we were texting, and I was like, what am I doing? And I still remember the words that you said, which is, the world will know your name. And
Yes.
I have my moments, and I just have your voice in my head, and I'm like, okay, let me manifest that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know. And we all do, Go on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, you talked, and I know we're at the top of the hour, so I want to be mindful of your time.
It's cool. I'm good. I'm off.
And you talked about manifesting, and I would love to hear, like, what is that for you? Like, for those who are like, I want to manifest some shit. Like how does that get operationalized for you to turn these big dreams into reality?
I grew up in the church, right? And I know that life and death is in the power of the tongue, right? And so my mom always drilled that into me. She always told me, don't say anything negative about, anybody, especially anybody in my family. Like, she was always like, speak life into, what is it that you're doing. And so hey guys, as I got more, I would say, as I started creating with Yes I Am, I just saw how we literally spoke everything into existence. And everything down to our shop. We used to pop up in City Point Mall in the Fad Market. And there are two instances. There's one where in our current shop, we had to store things in the shop. It was empty. And I went to the bathroom. I came out and I started saying to my partners, it was just the three of us in the shop. I was like, wouldn't this be dope if this was our shop? This was in 2017. And we start pointing, like, we'll put this here and put the racks over there and da-da-da here. And we're like, yeah, this would be so nice if they gave us this store. Fast forward 2.5 years later, we're actually popping up in the mall again. They placed us right in front of the same shop. And there's a picture of me with the sign that says Torley and Toby, which is now the Spot NYC. When 2 months later, they tell us that's our shop, the very shop we stood in, and we said, wouldn't it be cool if this was our shop? And so I'm like, blown away. The commercial with MasterCard, my partners, 2018, I was down for the count for 2 weeks in December because I had overworked myself. I was working full-time as an assistant director while raising up Yes I Am Inc. and the Spot NYC. I would leave work, leave my beautiful staff who happened to be here, my friends and family, and I would go to the shop in Dumbo right after, and then come home. Me and Face would come home like 11 o'clock, midnight or 10 o'clock, and then I would work on Yes I Am until 3 in the morning, and that's why I'd be late for work in the morning. But I was like, this was my cycle, and no days off, And then at the end of 2018, my body crashed for the second year. 2017, same thing happened, body crash. And he remembers. And I was praying at the end of so many things happened. I was dealing with my house being in foreclosure. I was dealing with losing my other house because of a bad lawyer who basically, people stealing properties and whatnot. So I had that situation. My program came under corrective action because we were half the team, but still having to meet the goals. And it was a stressful week, and I just like I started getting shooting pains in my arm, anxiety, and we had a training that week with a professional coach who came into the space, and she was like, you are going through so many things and you're a caretaker, you need to sit down, take 2 weeks off, your body is shutting down, right? And while I was on that break and getting mental clarity of the situation that I was in, especially with work, like we're fighting to make these numbers, and I'm telling my team, you got to meet your numbers. And my team will tell you, I came back, I said, at first I prayed and I said, Lord, I need you to help me get Yes I Am to the forefront. I need you to help me elevate Yes I Am. I need you to help me make Yes I Am my household name. I need you to help me get I want Yes I Am to be on commercials. Legit said that. And then I came back to my team in January and I was like, listen, do the best you can with what you have. I was like, you come out after 2 weeks, you get clarity, you realize you're in this circle, this rat race, and it doesn't make sense. Like my hands are tied behind my back and I can't produce. I can't do what you want me to do because we don't have all of what we need to be successful. And so I'm like, we can't kill ourselves. So April 2019 is when Create and Cultivate and I got connected, and they were like, I was trying to see if they wanted like stickers. Not if they wanted sponsors, and I'm thinking maybe I can make some stickers or something and send it to them because I'm a small business. And they were like, we love your brand. We love what it stands for. It's so aligned with what we're doing. Our partners at MasterCard, they actually have a small business marketplace at this event. They have booths worth $25,000 and they want us to gift it to 5 women, and we want to give you one of them.
Wow.
And tell you, I was in the pantry. I know Jasmine and Miss Ty are on. I was in the pantry taking that. They know because I came right after and I told them I was in the pantry and I was hiding, from the staff taking this call. And I just started crying. I was like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Because I was like, oh, my God, like this was amazing, And he definitely, like someone said, God made room for me. He sure enough did. And he continued to do so. So that was the beginning of a beautiful relationship. They gave me campaigns. And, now we just did the commercial. And it literally showed at every award ceremony, from Oscars to Grammys, showed during the Super Bowl, and then they repurposed it and showed it again for Aretha Franklin's Respect movie, and then they repurposed it and showed it again just now for Black History Month, and they cut a check every time it shows, and I was like, thank you, God. Thank you. So, I just realized, like, you can take control of your life. You can speak what you want into existence. And you have to do the work, and when we spoke about City Point, I said, I wanted us to get into City Point, into a bigger space. We went from a 100 square foot space to a 10,000 square foot space, I mean, not 10,000, 1,100 square foot space. Like, we just continue to grow and continue to build. And so our next thing was, while we were during the pandemic, we were applying for grants. We got into the Goldman Sachs 10K SB program. And I'm like, my goal is to get our brand Brooklynish, whether you're Brooklynish or on your Brooklyn-ish, into like iconic retail shops like Foot Locker, Barclays, Brooklyn Fanatics, Jimmy Jazz. And I kept saying it. And then one of my colleagues at the program, he was like, I know the person that's the head of Foot Locker. And he set us up to have a meeting. We don't know what's going to come from it. But the fact that we're able to like speak it, say it, do it, make it happen. I'm like, listen, be intentional with your life.
Well, it just goes to show how powerful you are, how powerful we are, right? As just individuals, like we are powerful, and you clearly have a special kind of magic and manifesting, but also giving yourself permission to be vulnerable and name it, and to say this is what I'm calling in, and this is what I want, and let the world know, and not be afraid to share your dreams so that other people can help you in that.
Yes, I think it's really important to share what you're doing, because you never know who can connect you and who can help you, So I've learned to you know, they say don't say things until it's finished. I believe in that too. But I also believe in speak about what you want to do because you don't know who's listening. And that's why every time we would say in the shop, we'd be like, welcome to the shop. And we tell them our little pitch. You know, the amount of people we met that were like, let me connect you to this person that's the head of corporate here and da da da, because you're doing amazing work and people need to know about it. And then we build more relationships and partnerships.
Right. Wow. I mean, it's just such a blessing to hear your story, to hear the power of your heart and how much you give and how big this dream is, not just for you and building your empire, but also that you're here to bring others with you and lift others up. And I wish you so much success, and anything that I can do to continue to support you, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm so honored that you're in my orbit, and appreciate you sharing your story so that others can know that it's absolutely possible for them too to follow their dreams, just like you did.
Thank you, Tosca. Thank you, and I appreciate you. And you let me know we're connected now. We're going to be on vacation soon. You know, you
Yes.
let me know. Yeah, I'll be
Yes, I
there.
love it.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, I think that for me, it's really, you know, I went through a stage last year where I was like, because of all that's going on, where I was like, what is the purpose? Why are we here? Like, you know, why? Because, you know, my friend lost her son, and it really hurt me to
Oh.
see that, you know, he was only 20. And I really was like, we die, right? Like, not to be morbid, but I'm like, we're only here for like but a bit of time, and then we die, and then we don't come back. Like, we just don't come back. And I'm like, what is the point? Like, and my friends, they were like, to leave your mark and leave your legacy. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And to do God's work. And I'm like, that's right. I was like, thank you for pulling me back and reminding me. And it just reignited my passion and, pulled me out of that, like, well, why? Or like, do you see people passing because of COVID and all of this, and you just feel like, what is happening? But then when I was at the third Create and Cultivate event in October, my partners whispered, MasterCard, they whispered into my my partner Tyler's ear, tell Michelle to let us know what she's doing for 2022 so we can back her. And I was like, and that just started me. I'm like, man.
I'm like, let me go get a MasterCard. I'm missing something in my wallet right now.
It was like, for me, it was like, okay, now I have an obligation to my community, right? And I have people who are solid and have my back, and they're like, this is for life. And I was like, oh, okay, they're gonna help. Okay, they're like, because at first I'm like, I know we're partners, but I'm like, I'm not gonna ask. But like, I have to get comfortable with that too, right? So it's like, and it's interesting. It's like, I'm finally in a place where I am no longer afraid to ask for what I want. And it took time, even though Yes I Am Clothing, and I'm like, putting out these powerful mantras and, memes, etc. I'm doing it for you, and I'm doing it for me. I'm trying to remind myself, girl, don't you be afraid. Not everything that I post is about me, but, and I'm like, I'm like, just to be clear, but, I am trying to remind myself of certain things. That was what it's about. And so, like, I think I finally, like, came over that, like, it's not imposter syndrome, but it's like, I finally own my ish, and I know who I am and in this game, and who I am in this world, and what I'm doing. And I'm more confident in my role as this creative social impactor, entrepreneur, and I know that my work speaks for itself, our work speaks for itself, and that people are dealing with us because they see what we're doing. And so I don't take that lightly. I don't take like serving the community on the board lightly. I don't take creating these events lightly. I'm like, this is not only my name, but this is our legacy. And so we need to make sure that it's, powerful and dope as hell. So yeah. Like,
yes.
that's where That's where I am right now. And I'm thankful to know that when I was in a space where I felt like I was suffocating because I wasn't walking my path,
Mm.
now that I'm in perfect alignment with my purpose and why God has me on this earth, every day every day feels, it doesn't feel like work, even though it
Mm.
is. Like I went to bed I woke up Friday 9 a.m. to prepare for the weekend for Saturday and Sunday. You know, we had to set up Friday night for Saturday. I woke up at 9 a.m. I didn't go to bed again until Saturday at 1, or I guess you'll say Sunday at 1 a.m. I was up the entire time. And
Oh
it's
my
not
God.
healthy. It's not smart. It's not, we have to get volunteers and help and whatnot. But I was so high on adrenaline to
Mm.
make sure that things got set up and got done well that I couldn't sleep. I just had to make sure everything was done and then we can execute. And that's how I work. So I'm like, I'm in my purpose. When you're in your purpose and your
Yes.
passion, you do what you got to
Yes.
do.
And
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 that's
I'm
what
just, one thing for people watching, I think sometimes people have a hard time connecting with what is their purpose, what is their passion, and it feels so
Mhm.
big. And the thing I say to that is just listen to the whispers. And in
Yep.
this moment, you just might have a calling. You might have a calling to bring three friends together to have dinner, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be huge, and just
Hmm.
follow those breadcrumbs of hints of desires that your heart has, and you'll find what that is for you. So thank you
Yep.
for showing us what it can look like,
Yeah.
and what it looks like to walk a different path and create your own table.
Yes.
I
Keep the
love
seat.
it.
I want the whole damn table. That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for
Yes.
your time. This was
Thank
amazing. Thank you for
you.
all the guests here today and everybody who's watching after the fact.
Guys.
And give all her entities a like, the spot, and yes,
Yes.
I am Inc. All of that,
Yes.
and share some love, buy some products, and yeah, and
Absolutely.
I look forward to dinner, vacation, all that good stuff.
Yes. Yes, yes. Thank you, Tosca. Be sure to follow Tosca as well because she has so many amazing entrepreneurs, women on here that she's supporting. So be sure to check in and, share the love.
Oh,
All
thank you
right.
so much.
My
All
dear.
right, thank you for your time. Talk to
Bye.
you soon.
Thank
Ciao for
you. Talk to you
now.
soon.
All right.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.